Hi everybody, it's Sarah Cray with Let's Make Art, and I teach watercolor, a new tutorial every week. And this week we are doing maple leaves. I always say this is a fun project, and I'm like trying to switch it up, but it is a fun project, and I always have fun painting, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Dang it. We will be doing this project in 5 steps. So our very first step, we are going to be doing the gradient wash around the edges. The second step, we will be doing a yellow layer across all of our leaves. Our third step, we will be doing an orange-red layer on our leaves. The fourth step, we will be painting the shadows from where these leaves overlap with each other. And the very last step, we will be going in and painting our stem and veins on our leaves. Okay, 5 steps. We are using 2 paint brushes for this, around 6 and around 2. These are my go-to brushes. These are the Let's Make Art Classic series. They're great brushes. We also carry the Princeton Heritage brushes. Those are excellent brushes. Another brush that might be handy to have for this wash area is like a 3/4 inch wash or something. Not necessary. I'm going to be doing it with my 6, but if you have it, it would be nice to use it in this project. We are using Canson XL watercolor cold press 140-pound paper.
That was a lot of information.
A lot of information. Has a blue,
very well executed.
Has a blue cover on it.
Oh.
Big XL.
That's how you find it.
That's how you find it. We are using 4 colors for this project. So our very first color is deep yellow. Our second color is rose red. Our third color is amethyst. And our fourth color is berry blue. So you can see that amethyst and berry blue are fairly similar to each other, but if you look at it, amethyst has purple undertones, where berry blue, like this is like, I would classify this color as a blue purple, where this is a purple blue.
Okay.
So the main color in amethyst is purple, and the main color in berry blue is blue, but they have each other's like undertones to it.
That's cool.
So that's why they are pretty similar.
I like both of those colors.
Me too. This is actually my husband's favorite color. Purple, like a good purple.
Like a royalty purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this is your very first time painting with us and you're new to watercolor just in general, I highly recommend you guys checking out the beginner series. I go over techniques, supplies, all those different stuff. The techniques we'll be going over in this project, we will be doing layering, wet on wet, washes, values, all of that fun stuff. But if you've been painting with us for a while, hopefully you're familiar with those terms. I have my outline here, so let's do outline, oath, and painting.
Okay.
Okay. So here's my outline. I taped my paper down because I wanted to try to get a clean edge. We have learned with liquid watercolors that's kind of tricky to do sometimes, but that's okay. I'm still gonna try it. And I'm going to tape my outline to my paper. So I'm lining up, see how it kind of cuts off? My outline cuts off here.
Yes.
So I'm lining it up against that tape edge. And then I'm going to take my graphite paper, do dark, shiny side down, and then trace, and I'm going to use this red pencil to trace.
That we don't have a name for.
I don't know the brand. Do we carry it? Quite frankly, I'm not sure.
Great.
But when I trace things, I guess that gives you a hint into like what I use to trace things, which is like literally anything that I can grab that's laying around.
So it's the closest object.
It was the closest pencil I could find. But I thought it was a bonus because red, I can see where I'm tracing. And there's a lot of lines in this project. So maybe tracing with something other than a black pen or pencil would be helpful so you know where you've already traced. And then I like to lift up and see how dark my outline is before I finish it off, because you can adjust how dark it is by your pressure. And I will show you what that looks like. So if I press super hard, Can you tell how hard I'm pressing by my face?
Yes. Now we can. Wow. That was
really
a
hard.
lot of pressure.
Do you want to see? Yeah. So there's the difference. That was like
my
medium pressure.
goodness.
This was really hard pressure. Let me show you really light pressure. I doubt this will even show up. Yeah, you can't even see that. So that is just an example about how your pressure can affect your outline.
So if you're teaching medium pressure, if you're arting on your own, light pressure.
Yes, I try and do my outlines darker since I'm teaching on a camera. And so if I do too light pressure, you guys won't be able to see my outline very well. When you're at home, try and do it as light as you possibly can, because watercolor is transparent. Another note is that graphite paper ages beautifully. It's like a fine wine.
Oh,
I don't know.
You can't eat.
I don't know anything about wine. I just know it gets better with age.
It's a phrase. I know wine gets finer.
And so if you're using a graphite paper that's brand new, even if you're doing the lightest pressure possible, you still might be getting a really dark line. And that's just because the graphite paper is fresh. All of that graphite is still strongly on the graphite side of the paper, where the more you use it, the more that graphite will rub off. And so then it's not as sensitive.
Check.
Check. So just a little note, even if it's like a fresh graphite paper and I'm telling you, well, just press lightly and you are, and you're still getting really dark marks, it could just be how fresh your graphite paper is. So just use it a lot. I wish I can remember what tutorial it was. I think it was the corn tutorial.
Corn husk?
Corn husk, where I go over, when I use a brand new piece of graphite paper, what I do to kind of mess it up. I crinkle it up, I rub it across a lot on a bunch of different surfaces to try and rub off that excess graphite, that kind of stuff.
It's literally the opposite of what I would do to, you treat new graphite the way I would never treat a new thing.
Yes. It's kind of like, I think the movie's called Center Stage, the dancing movie, ballet movie.
Okay.
And when people get new, there's like a B-roll part in there where when they get their new ballet shoes, they mess them up because they fit to their foot better and they can dance better in them. But brand new expensive ballet shoes, they just tear up, rip apart.
Would hurt me.
Yeah. So interesting.
Huh. I guess that makes sense because a baseball glove, they mistreat those things, hit them with baseball bats and fold them in half. And
when I would get new soccer cleats when I played soccer in college, we would do the same thing. Something that would help is you would actually put them on and then wear them in the shower, because then they would form to your foot when they're wet and adjust its size while they were nice and wet, and then you would let them dry out.
What?
Yeah, that's how I would break in new cleats.
I need to try that. For no reason at all.
You should ask Nicole too, because Nicole also played college soccer, which is funny. But anyways, I wonder if that was a trick that she used also. I know that that's what I did, but I wonder if I wonder if she'll hear that. She'll be like, that doesn't do anything. Never heard that before in my life. I'm just a weirdo wearing soccer cleats in the shower. I'm like, I promise this works. Well, I don't know, but we should ask her. Okay, I'm almost done with my outline here. I'm kind of doing my stem now. There's a lot of overlapping lines. So if you miss one, it's not a huge deal. Remember, outlines are just general information for you guys. If you miss a line after you move your paper, just eyeball it. Okay, I think I got it all. Ba-bam. Okay, let's do our oath. So if you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
I promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
And I promise to have fun.
Thank you. Also, look how pretty my water is. Isn't that pretty?
Looks like there's no sugar in it.
What?
Like a discount yummy beverage.
You're like, that looks like there was juice in that cup and a lot of ice, and then the ice melted.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to start with step 1. We will be doing our gradient blue edges on our paper. Now, I am using my blotting cloth here, but I also grabbed a paper towel because sometimes what I'll do to like smooth out a wash quickly is I'll just use a paper towel instead of trying to do it with a round 6 paintbrush. So I'm going to grab my 6. I'm going to grab some berry blue. I'm going to water it down a little bit. So I'm pulling water to my palette. And I'm just going to grab this color, and let's start on the top left. Now, this is the tricky thing. When you're doing this wash, you don't want to have it go too much into your leaves because watercolor is transparent. So like you can see here that I did it a little bit, but I knew that the edge of this leaf was going to be like a really dark value, so I was okay overlapping it. You don't want your blue to be going like into the middle of the leaves because that's where the yellow needs to shine through, and if you combine berry blue and yellow, you're going to get green or like a muddy green. So try and keep it, you don't have to totally avoid the leaves, but like don't go totally into the leaves either. So here we go, got my berry blue. I'm just going to start, and then I'm going to take water. I'm going a little bit into leaves, not too crazy. And actually I feel like I want to do a little bit darker. So you guys can adjust how dark you want this to go. And this is where maybe you can use your paper towel. So it just is going to smooth it out. But don't rub too hard or too much, because then you're going to start to degrade the paper. And maybe even another round. Okay, let's go crazy here. Let's get dark. And if you want the color to kind of like continue on the edges, on the sides, go for it. You don't have to if you just want it to stay right in the corner. That would work too. I'm gonna get this wet and then use my paper towel to smooth it out. Okay. All right, so that's my top corner. I'm gonna do the same thing on the bottom left.
This makes me think of the word vignette.
Yes, yes. And Keenan has started taking photos, right? You started getting into photography.
Yep.
Can you explain what vignette is?
I can't explain it.
Okay.
I just know that it's just what you're doing right now. You're putting an edge, like a border around the image that you're focusing on.
Can we look at Steve to see if he has a succinct way of...
I'm currently using Steve as a prop for what I'm watching you do, but yes, I will use Steve. Vignette. I open up to poultry.
Oh. So do as many layers of this blue as you feel is necessary. And because we're mostly avoiding the leaf area, you can also go back to an area, you know, later, like maybe at the end of your painting after we put in the darker values where you're like, man, I kind of actually want that blue to stand out more. Well, go ahead and add it back. If you feel like the paper towel, here's the thing with the paper towel, is it is easy to make it smooth, but it does lift up a lot of color simultaneously. So if you're trying to go darker and you keep using your paper towel and it just keeps on lifting, maybe then not use the paper towel for a little bit. It just depends on what you're kind of going for.
I'm having a problem knowing how to spell vignette.
V-I-G?
Well, that's what I thought.
I thought? Well, hold on, let me pull out my phone.
Wait. You said V-I-G.
Yeah.
Never mind. That is not what I was thinking.
Vigne.
Oh, found it. Got it.
Okay,
I
great.
was one page off.
Okay.
Oh, how embarrassing.
That's okay.
I'm not that embarrassed. It's okay. A small decorative design. A picture as an engraving or a photograph that shades off gradually into the surrounding ground.
Yes. Shades off gradually into the surrounding ground. Yeah, this is a vignette.
Yeah.
I didn't even use that term. Keenan, good job.
Thank you.
You're like, you're painting a vignette right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you asked me to define it, and I couldn't. And then you asked me to find it in the dictionary, and I couldn't. So you win some, you lose some.
The worst is, I think the other day I asked Michael to spell something, and I was in front of my 8-year-old. And I was like, hey, how do you spell this? Like, I was typing something, I just wanted to be sure. And Ella, like, repeated the word. She was like, are you asking how to spell this? And I was like, yes.
8-year-olds, what do they know?
8-year-olds? No, but Ella's she's so smart. And she's a big reader, which is great. It's great. It's all if there was anything I wanted to give my children, it was like the love of...
Roast abilities.
Did you say roast abilities?
Yeah.
Ella is good at roasting. Oh my gosh. But I really wanted them to... Me and my husband love to read, and I really hoped that would translate into our kids, because I think reading is magical. And so far, it has for Ella. The jury's out on Luna.
Jury's out.
She's still learning. Okay, so there is my vignette.
Nice.
It's looking good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's step 1. Now we're going to move on to step 2.
Snack break.
Little drink break. Okay. So, you want to make sure that you rinse your 6 that you've been using. Rinse it off really well, because we're going to start going into yellow. And if there's any blue left on your brush, of course, that's going to turn like a muddy green. Also, if your water is too dark, it will change the color yellow that we're putting in. Okay, so I got my deep yellow, and I'm just going to paint I'm going to do the darkest color kind of in the middle of the leaf, like where that stem hits. And then I'm just going to blend out. And you can see that I'm just laying this color down, because I know that for the most part, the only yellow that you're really going to see at the end of this is like right here, maybe a little bit around the veins. So that's why I'm kind of being a little bit messy spreading this. I'm okay if I'm getting some blooms. I'm okay if it kind of goes off the edge a little bit. It's not a big deal, because I know that it's just going to be covered. And I'll just keep on going. Now, the fun thing with this project is there's usually 2 techniques that I do when it comes to watercolor, which is like layer gradual washes on top of each other to achieve different values. Okay, so that's what I do for more realistic paintings like the succulent or the peony. Or another thing that I like to do is I actually like to layer. I like to put my dark values first and then just blend out from there. And those ones I do for like more looser paintings or like quicker paintings or something like that. This one I'm actually combining both techniques. So I'm doing my light layer value first, which is what I would do in like the peony. But my step 2 is I'm going to be actually using that blending wet on wet, drop and then blend technique for the red and orange part. So I'm kind of excited about that. Oh, you can see here that I forgot to outline this other leaf's edge. I'm just going to eyeball it. No biggie.
Oh, snap. That's where I would start to sweat. What's a leaf look like?
You're like, wait. There's like 50 examples right here of like the edge of a leaf. You're like, wait a second.
How would I ever figure this out?
No, it's true. It's funny how caught up we get in things, and yeah, it's I don't know.
It's like when you're not solid in it, it's easy to trick yourself into thinking that you can't do it.
It also kind of reminds me, and I'm really bad at this, of like when there's something I have to do and I don't want to do it, I keep putting it off. But then it's like in the back of my mind and
stressing you out.
Stressing me out the entire time. And then I saw a meme that was like such a great thing. They're like, wow, that thing that I've been worrying and stressing about for 3 months, I'm really glad I was able to take care of that in the 2-minute phone call I needed to do, which is like, it's so funny how like, yes, that thing could be taken care of so quickly if I would just like do it. And it would really only take like 2 minutes to like call the dentist or set up an appointment. But I don't do it, you know? I put it off. I can't remember how I started talking about this. I thought it would really
leaf shape.
Yeah.
I said I would feel insecure about what a leaf looked like if I forgot to outline it.
Yes. I think sometimes we think and stress so much about something that in the end is not a big deal. Where if we just were like, didn't think about it and just did it.
So then you moved on to like, I need to call the dentist. You're like, crap. I gotta set up that appointment.
I've been avoiding that for months. Well, yes, that is where I took it.
That is funny.
And I'm using the side of my brush here, especially on these larger leaves, to get a wider stroke, just to fill it in faster.
I'm pretty sure that's how I tell stories. I start with one main point, and then I just realize, I'm like, oh, you need this information. Let me share everything else with you, too. It started at 9 o'clock on April 13th, 2007.
Actually, me and Keenan realized this I was trying to tell Keenan a story, and I was just like, here's the deal, Keenan. I'm not very good at summarizing because in my mind, that's not how things work. In my mind, there are points that inform all the other points, and so like trying to summarize things into like succinct bullet points of information that you need to know does not work for me, because I'm like, but you need to understand the context of the bullet point. So I end up just telling everything, and Keenan told me he's the same way.
Yeah, I 100% am.
And
I have to describe the setting,
yes,
what the weather was like, for no reason.
And then I'll say something, I'll be like, well, actually, that's important because 3 months ago, this happened. And people are like, what are we even talking about right now?
We're at your daughter's birthday party. You need to calm down.
And these people have been painting with me. They're like, yeah, we know that about you, Sarah.
Everyone watching is like, yeah, this is weird. They know.
They're like, we get that you talk a lot, okay? We've been painting with you. Okay. There is my first layer.
Nice.
My yellow under painting on my leaves. Good job. Great. Celebrate for a second.
There are leaves that look like that.
Yes.
And when it's a full tree, beautiful.
Oh, there's a hickory. Is that a tree?
Uh-huh, yes.
There's one outside my house, and the leaves are all dead now, but like for like 3 days, they were like yellow, like the most vibrant yellow.
Dang.
I'll have to share a picture. I think my husband actually took a beautiful picture. Michael, can you put in your gorgeous yellow photo right here? Thank you. So yeah, love it. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the second part, which is putting on our red orange color. And so what I'm going to do with this, because I'm a little bit edgy, is I'm going to put in my red and then blend into my orange and then have that go into my yellow instead of doing all orange, letting that dry, and then red on top of that. Because I like to mix up techniques and just see what happens. So let's see what happens. So I'm gonna grab my rose red. I'm gonna start with the leaf that I first painted because hopefully that one is the most dry. And then I'm going to go along the edge here. So I'm putting in my red edge, then I'm going to rinse my brush and using water, blend out. And I didn't do a very good job here, but I kind of want to avoid around the vein a little bit because I want some of that yellow to show through. Now I'm also going to avoid the areas where there's overlap, which is going to take you referring to your reference photo a lot. Now this is tricky to do, so don't be mad at yourself if you mess up. The nice thing is this is your painting, so if you mess up, you could just be like, who's going to know?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
After a while, you won't even remember it.
Yeah. So I'm taking my red, and then I'm kind of blending out. Now, depending on how dark your yellow is and how light your red is, you could be getting some orange. But for me, you guys know me, I love vibrancy, right? I love being able to just like drop in color. So another thing that I'll do is like when it's nice and wet like this, I'm going to mix a little orange on my palette and just kind of drop it in when it's wet. And just let it, I'm not going to smooth it out, I'm just going to drop it in. Let it do its thing. And now I have like the vibrant red, I have the vibrant orange, and I have my yellow showing through. Now when you're blending towards the center of your, or the stem of your leaf, notice that I stopped pushing and I'm starting to pull away. And that's because I want it to stay yellow. And if I keep pushing towards it, then it would end up covering the entire thing into red. So at the beginning, I'm pushing, and then when I get closer, I'm pulling away. And that's to save some of that color. You could also drop orange throughout here too. It doesn't have to be just in here. Oh, but look at that color, just for a second.
I know.
Look how beautiful that is. And I love, like, look, that bled on the other side, that's beautiful. Look at that little bleed right there.
The little guy.
That little guy made its way through. It's okay to like celebrate the little things that you love along the way, you know? It's okay to enjoy this process.
I've decided that a maple leaf is just a futuristic spaceship shape.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted everyone to know my thoughts.
Wouldn't it be funny in like 30 years people find this video and they're like, how did Keenan know?
I'll be the one that invented the spaceship.
Whoa.
That's why.
I just got a fuzz on my brush. How did that happen?
It floated onto your brush?
I don't know how this got on here.
Oh no. That's amazing.
I was just weird.
Squirrel.
Sorry. Sorry. I'm like, what happened? Keenan's like, you're painting a tutorial, Sarah. Can you focus? So again, I'm kind of avoiding my overlapped areas. Now the reason why I'm avoiding the areas that are gonna overlap is because I'm gonna paint those like a red purple, but like mostly purple. And if orange is in there, it's gonna turn it a muddy color, and I want the colors to stay vibrant. So that's why I'm not painting over them. If you do paint over them, again, we've talked about it, it's not a huge deal. Oh God, I'm so in love with these colors. Now in these tiny areas, it's a little bit harder to get like a good transition or bleed out. It's okay if you just gotta paint the whole thing one color. It's not a big deal. And you'll notice that I utilize this blotting cloth or my paper towel a lot. If you are having a hard time controlling how much water is on your brush, you're not using your paper towel enough. So like even if it doesn't feel natural to like always touch your paper towel to your brush to your paper towel, just like do it. And maybe not even once, do it once or twice and see if that helps, kind of thing.
That was actually one of the first things I noticed when I started filming, was how much you utilize the towel you're using.
Yeah, it's so important, and I feel like I do a disservice by not talking about it.
You do.
Enough.
So thank you for talking about it today.
You're welcome. Okay. Oh, it's beautiful. And we're just going to repeat that process on all of our leaves. And if you want to like blend out some, gosh, for me, like the blooms that happen accidentally during this are the moments of like surprise that I love. Like right here, I can see that a bloom is forming. You see how uneven that is? Oh, it's gonna be gorgeous. It's gonna be gorgeous. Is it gonna be like super realistic? No. Like, is that okay? Totally that's okay. So much of that is personal preference, and I am a huge fan of accidental blooms, weird textures. I feel like it adds visual interest. Now, if you are a painter that you do not like that, you want it to be super smooth, and not have any blooms, not have any hard edges, and that's okay. Again, it's all personal preference. Then you are going to want to invest in 100% cotton paper. That is going to allow for how it absorbs water is differently than Canson. Canson is wood pulp paper, and Canson lends itself to blooms. Where 100% cotton paper, it evens the water out way easier how it absorbs, so you end up with a lot less blooms, a lot less hard lines.
Is arches 100% cotton?
Yes, and we do carry arches. I love me some arches. I mean, it's a gorgeous paper, and it just depends on like really what you're going for. Most of the time, the reason why we put Canson in here is because in my illustrative work, that's what I use. I love Canson. I really do. This XL Canson, I really do like it. I think it actually works really well with liquid watercolors too. Where 100% cotton papers, I feel like don't lend itself as well to liquid watercolors. Now there's lots of different types of paper, so I haven't tried all of them. So if you found one that works really well with the liquids that you enjoy, that's so great. And you are free to share that information with us, especially if people are looking for, they're like, I like the vibrancy of the liquids, but I don't love the blooms. What paper should I use? You guys can let us know. And it just is all about what you're trying to go for. I mean, the other nice thing about Canson is just that it's affordable, right? And I mean, that's really why I started using it. And honestly, I learned how to use it. Because I think that's half the battle with supplies, is just trying to figure out how to utilize them in the way that you want them to be utilized.
I was literally just going to say that because I've used the arches paper before, and because it's different from what I'm used to with Canson, it threw me off a little bit because it takes different amounts of water and or paint and treats it differently. So
yes, and that could seem really frustrating to someone who's just starting out, to be like, oh, I thought this paper was going to be awesome, but I don't know how to use it because I'm so used to Canson or I'm so used to another kind of paper, and that's totally fair. What I would suggest, though, is I'm a huge believer in not comparing and being like, oh, well, you only use this, you're not a real artist. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a silly way to look at it. And so, like, my advice to you is, like, just because you're not able to, if you haven't figured out how to best utilize a supply, or it's just not doing what your intention is trying to do, that doesn't mean that it's trash. You know what I mean? Like, understand that there are different ways to approach things, and just because it's different than how you would approach it, that doesn't make it less than. So again, I'm just using the red along the edge, pulling it down, And then if I feel like I need to drop in some orange for vibrancy, I do that. Is everything okay?
Everything's great.
Okay. Now another thing that I like to do if I'm feeling really edgy is I will actually, I'll show this on this leaf, is I'll actually start with putting the water down first along the edge and then do some wet on wet in there and drop and paint the edge red, and then that will bloom and bleed out also, and I'll get some really cool textures that way. And maybe I'll drop some orange in there too if I want to keep some of that. And again, I like to mix it up. I like to do all of these techniques in one painting. There's nothing wrong with like saying like, well, this leaf, I'm gonna do a lot of wet on wet and drop it in and just see what happens. You can tell, especially on this leaf, this top left leaf, that I did a lot of that. You can see those textures and those blooms still in there, where maybe on this leaf or this leaf, it's more even. There's nothing wrong with mixing it up and having both. And I just want to point out that each leaf has the right to be unique. So just because one leaf is more red or more orange or more yellow, that's okay. Each leaf is different from the next one. So like give yourself permission and your painting permission to have these differ from one another. Don't stress out if, oh, well, this one's really orange or this one's like really red. That's true. That's what nature is, you know? Variation.
I heard you say each leaf has the right to party. And that's what I've been thinking about the past few seconds.
Did I say that?
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
But that's what I decided you said.
That's much better, actually, than what I said. Thank you, Keenan.
You're welcome.
You're like what you're trying to say. Oh yeah, look at those blooms that happen there.
Mm.
That's beautiful.
It's disrespectful how good that looks.
Okay, now this leaf is a little bit tricky, right? Because we have overlap on this and this side. So just try and keep just refer to your reference photo to try and keep the edges straight. If you can't, again, no one's gonna know. I think what trips me up is the lines that I put in there for the veins also. That's what's giving me pause. So I'm just like, wait, is that an edge?
I was going to say, all these lines, they look confusing.
And as Keenan and I would say, don't get lost in the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep painting. Don't stress too much.
Just keep painting. Just keep painting.
That's good. Okay.
I half thought you were saying, that's good, please stop. That's good, Keith. Thank you.
Did I say that?
No, you didn't. But that's why I was wait a
Keenan,
second.
you were making me feel like I'm crazy, but you're like, you're saying this, and I'm like, am I? No. Okay. We're almost done here with step 3. You guys are doing great. Just keep on going. I'm going to this big, what's the word you like to use, Keenan? Chungus.
Big Chungus.
Yeah, we're moving on to Big Chungus here. This one has the most overlap shadow out of all the leaves. And you'll, you just have to be careful around that shadow, right? If you overlap a little bit, it's not a huge deal.
What was your thought process / motivation for painting the maple leaves?
I think, well, I have noticed in art that I am really drawn to paintings that have a huge range in value. As in, we got a really dark, dark, we got a really light, light. And so that I really loved about this project. Two, I also really loved the colors in itself. Fall just have such beautiful colors, and since this is our November box, I really wanted to celebrate the reds and the oranges and the yellows and even like those hints of like purple brown. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a celebration of vibrancy that we don't get to see for very long, right? Like, fall leaves don't stay super colorful for a very long time. And I wanted to show them, I know that we do a lot of like loose leaves. Like, we did a fall leaves project, I think almost 2 years ago. And those were maple leaves that we free-handed. We sketched those. We didn't have an outline. So I wanted to also do a project to show you, okay, now that I've shown you how to like freehand and like do a really like free flow maple leaf playing with a lot of color, now I want to show you how you can like tighten that up and do a more realistic version. Was I here for that? Last fall? Yeah, you should have been, because that was when also we did the porcupine. Good times. Yeah. Which is, I mean, Keenan, that first quote from the first time that we filmed. The hedgehog? Oh, the hedgehog. That's what it was. It wasn't a porcupine. Yeah. That's when I knew that this was going to be a great relationship. Like our first time filming, I'm like, Keenan, can you come up with 3 hedgehog facts? Fact number 1. They mostly stay. Hedgehogs mainly stay on the ground. Yes. And I was like, this is going to be great. What else do they do? I don't know. I think I was so thrilled at that answer. I don't know if we ever got to the other 2. I don't remember. That was 2 years ago. I can't believe that. 2 years ago. Okay. Oh, I got a little bit here I got to adjust. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look what happened there. Oh, snap. Yeah, that is cool. Okay, I'm really excited for this next part. It's funny because I mixed the color because I was like so excited for the next part, and then I was like, no, Sarah, you got to finish this part first. Calm down, please. Calm down. But when I introduced like the purple red color, oh, that's like, that is really what I think just makes these colors pop. So I'm really excited for that, you can tell. Okay. We ready? Ready. Ready. Actually, nope, not ready. I need to finish this little leaf. And this one. Okay. Yes, okay. Now we're ready to move on to step 4, which is the shadow of the overlap leaves. And this is where I'm going to be taking my rose red and amethyst and mixing. Oh gosh, can you see this color? Oh, it's like burgundy. It's so beautiful. I just can't
Oh, you started mixing that a long time ago.
I know, that's how excited I was to get into this part. But then I was like, no, you're teaching. You got to finish the step before you move on to the next one.
It's so funny.
Oh, you can see I forgot a little corner there. Oh,
it's going to be burgundy.
Let me do it really quick.
Oh.
Let me do this edge really quick. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we got time for our burgundy. Now, a little fun fact for you guys is not only am I going to be using the burgundy for the overlap on the shadows, I'm also going to be doing it for the stem. And then, if you really feel like it, you can use it on the edge of your leaves to get like one more darker value in that red. Snap. Don't do it a ton. Don't do it too much, but just like a little. I'm not going to do.
Calm down.
Calm down. I'm going to do that at the end with my round 2. I'm not going to do that yet, but I will do it, and I'm excited for it.
Nice.
Okay.
Yes.
Focus. So now we're going in with our burgundy color and doing the overlap part. So you want to make sure that the area is dry that you're painting around. Because if it's not, then that sharp line, silhouette line, will just bleed out, and that's not what we want.
Oh man, I could definitely see me painting the wrong direction leaf. Or the leaf the wrong direction in the overlap with the burgundy.
What do you mean?
Because like I said earlier, the lines would confuse me. I could definitely paint a leaf the wrong direction.
So now basically what we're doing is all of the areas that are yellow except the veins, all the areas that are yellow, that's what we're painting. So maybe that would help kind of keep things focused.
Last night, my daughter Vita, out of the blue, we're driving, and she goes, Eleanor, so to her older sister, just drink your water and focus. Vita
said that to Eleanor?
Vita then took a big drink, and she just goes, focus, focus, focus. With so much attitude, like it was just like, I don't know where it came from. It was so funny.
I need Vita here next to me where she'd be like, Sarah,
just drink your water.
Just take your paint, focus. Okay, now what I'm doing here too is on some of these silhouette parts, I can lift up a little bit of color too. Even in shadows, there's light, right? So like if I feel like an area is too dark and too solid one value, there's nothing wrong with lifting a little bit of color out before moving on. You don't have to do that a ton. You don't have to do that at all. I just like to do it because I feel like it adds dimension to those shadowed areas. Okay, we're keeping on here. Now this like burgundy color that we're putting down, it's a beautiful color. It's so beautiful. But you'll notice that when you put it on top of the yellow, it does desaturate it, right? Which is fine, right? That's why we're layering it this way. But if you wanted to like do kind of like a funky painting, which I'm a huge fan of funky paintings, you can actually not do a yellow layer underneath and have those shadowed parts, those separate parts be like just purple. Or you know what I mean? Like you can play with that.
Yeah.
Experiment with it, play with it, see like what colors you like, that kind of stuff. So just a little hint for you. So now I'm on the big part where it's overlapped a lot. Gosh, this color is just, it's fall to me, these colors. And even on these, I'm using water to kind of spread out this color.
The yellow makes me think of pears.
Pears?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Are pears your favorite fruit? What's your favorite fruit?
Ooh. Skip.
What?
Next question.
Skip? I thought you were saying skip peanut butter. I was like, no, Keenan.
Oh, that's hilarious. I don't know. I like the basics. Ooh, I love kiwis.
Ooh, kiwis are good.
As long as they're not bitter, because those always make me sad.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
Okay, you think about it. You let us know. You get back to us. Me and my friends here.
Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy. Okay, I think I got all my overlap shadow parts. Look at the colors that happened in here. Aren't those beautiful?
I like that one speck of lighter on the right side.
Here?
Right there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just... Okay. Now, I did my shadows. Now, if I want to, this is kind of where, before we do the stem, this is kind of where if you want to go back and kind of darken up some of these leaves maybe, if you want to. You don't have to. I feel pretty good about the color range that I got, but as just a little extra oomph, I'm going to take my two, and you can either grab red or you can grab that like burgundy color we mixed and just kind of like re-sharpen some of these edges here. Like, look at that. Now we have like such extreme value range on our leaves, right?
Dang, that looks cool.
Again, it doesn't have to be across all of the leaves. Maybe it's just here and there. I'm a huge fan of just going here and there. Oh yeah, look at that. Cool. Cool. And then I noticed that some of my leaves, mostly, I think I want to darken this one up a little bit. Maybe this one too. Just do another layer of red. You don't have to. You guys will know what's best for your painting, and also you know what you like. If you like how your colors turned out or the textures that you achieved in that area, don't do this part. You don't have to listen to me here. I'm giving you permission just to like not do what I'm doing, because maybe what you've painted, you're like, no, I'm good. I'm good with what I got.
Avocado is considered a fruit.
Yes.
Because of the seed.
Yes.
But I think I like blackberries the most.
Ooh, blackberries are good. Oh, last night, it was like 11:30, and I gotta have a snack, you know? And a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich sometimes can just hit the spot.
PB&J is by far, I don't know who invented it, but they were onto something back then.
I and Michael just bought blackberry jelly, and it was so good, and it got me to where I wanted to be.
Nice.
Because the worst is when you do a like midnight snack and it doesn't hit for you like you need it to.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
I think the reason I like blackberries is because my grandparents, where they live in Washington, they have had, I don't know if it's still there, I haven't been there in a while, just a large, I don't even know how long, massive amounts of blackberries right next to their house that grew wild.
Oh.
They like consider them weeds in Washington.
No.
Yeah. Because they're everywhere.
There's a place, it's funny, it's in California, but it's actually called Washington, California.
Okay.
And our families go up there to camp, and actually that's where me and Michael met. Anyways, they have wild blackberry bushes all around. And one time me and Michael's family just went up there on our own in this cabin and we picked the wild blackberries and we made the most delicious like blackberry crumble for dessert.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was so good.
That sounds delicious.
So I'm just doing another layer on some of my leaves that I felt like needed a little extra oomph. This one I think needs a little extra oomph. By oomph, I mean color. I mean value. Oh look, and I discovered a place where I forgot to overlap.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that funny how I like didn't see that before?
Yeah. The crossroads of lack of color.
Yes, I need to fix that. There we go. Okay. And okay, I feel really good about where this is going. Let's go along the edge and then we'll put in our stems. And then we're done. We're almost done with this, you guys. I know. Okay. I feel good. I feel good about that. Cool. All right, now let's do our stems. So I'm going to take this burgundy color and I'm going to paint the left/top side of my stem. So I'm going to go in here and just using my two, start that. I'm not painting the whole thing again, I'm just painting the left/top. And also do it on the part that connects the stems to the leaves. Okay, and then I'm going to rinse my brush and take red, or you can try just using water if you want. I'm going to do like a light, I'm going to do an in between. I grabbed red and then also water, so it's like a light red. And I'm going to like fill in the rest of the stem and let it touch the purple we just put into so it kind of like bleeds out a little bit. And that's because even stems are three-dimensional. Even stems have form. So there would be value changes on those areas as well. Now, if yours is not bleeding out as much as you would like it to, just pick up a little bit more red as you're painting the rest here.
I looked away for a few seconds and I came back and that stem looks amazing.
So stems are fun because like sometimes just doing a dark edge and then like a lighter edge next to it, it's like ba-bam. Look at that stem, you know? And maybe I'll even do a little bit darker over here too, one more.
I feel like stems are just tree fingers.
Yes, totally. And you can decide maybe this one needs a little bit more red here. Drop in some red. Why not, you know? Okay, now what I'm noticing on this back leaf is I think that stem is a little bit thicker on my outline than what I would want. So you can either make that stem to match how thick that yellow is, or what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to paint that thick stem into the leaf and make that the leaf. Because personally I like a thin stem. That's just a personal preference of mine. I like, even when I'm doing florals, even if they're not realistic or match up, I love the look of a thin, delicate stem. Okay, there's our stem, our little branch part. Stem, and now we're going to do our veins. So you can grab that same burgundy color. If you want to use mostly red, you can, and just light pressure, thin lines. I'm gonna go and put in my stems. Now you'll notice that sometimes my line skips, and I'm okay with that. So I'm kind of painting over or next to the light yellow areas that I avoided. Now, another word of caution is when you do veins, you want to make sure that the dark that you're using is not the darkest value on this painting, because that's when it's not going to feel as realistic. Because the veins on your leaf in a painting like this should not be the darkest value. That's when it would start to feel a little disjointed. And if it looks like I forgot to draw some of the veins in on some of these, that's okay. Just gonna eyeball it. Remember, I'm sure somewhere there's a leaf that looks like it.
You ever seen Five Goes West?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought of the song where they're singing somewhere.
Yes.
Out there, beneath the pale moonlight.
Okay, and my very last thing that I'm going to do, I mean, this is the last step, you guys. Like, your painting is done at this point. I'm just going to finesse some of my shadow edges. So where it's kind of yellow, I just kind of want to like adjust those just a little bit. Maybe add some of the maple leaves kind of have a serrated edge. So I'm just going to go in and add that on some of them. You can do that on your shadowed part, or you can do that on your actual leaf part if you need to. Here I felt like I needed to like sharpen that up. Do a little edge on that. Okay, I think I'm done. Now we're going to remove our tape.
Yes.
Oh, also, don't leave your paintbrushes in your water. And another thing that I notice with paintbrushes is sometimes you can get, I notice that sometimes people are seeing their paint flaking off on some of their paintbrushes, and I have been trying to figure out why.
Oh.
I've been trying to recreate it. And I realized that when I dip my paintbrush in my water, I don't do this.
Oh,
I don't dip my entire brush. I very rarely dip my paintbrush past the ferrule, which is this metal part. And I'm wondering if that could be it.
That could be it.
Because very rarely does this part even, and I even like left my paintbrushes in my cup like this for like a couple of days to like see if I can recreate it, just to see what was going on. And I didn't experience that, but like on some of these like natural wood brushes, I don't know if I have an example. You can see the color staining them as well. But anyways, just a little tip, when you're grabbing water, you don't need to dip your entire paintbrush in there. You just need to dip the bristle part. Very rarely do I dip past the ferrule. I hope I'm saying that right.
Pharrell, he's an artist. He's a musician.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, taking the tape. Slowly pull away from my painting. Add an angle. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that is so nice.
Look at that clean edge.
Slowly away at an angle. Oh, yes. Yes, I'm so happy. Oh, I got a little tearing there. That's okay. You guys, this is so great. The thing with taping edges is a clean edge is amazing. It also makes it really obvious when your tape edge isn't straight. I have a hard time doing a really straight tape edge. That is our maple leaves painting, you guys. It turned out so beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love it. I hope you guys had fun with this. I can't wait to see what colors happened with yours, what you decided to go with. I mean, you don't have to do fall colors with this. You can, this could be green leaves. I don't know. Have fun with it.
It could be green leaves.
I know.
Mixed with red.
Yes. Okay. Anyways, thank you so much for painting with me. I really had a great time doing this project with you. Share your work. I know it's scary, but gosh, when you're courageous, it gives other people permission to be courageous. When we see people being vulnerable, it gives us the permission to also be vulnerable. So share your work. I know it's scary, but you can do it. You can tag us at Instagram at Let's Go Make Art or hashtag Let's Make Art. We have a Facebook group for the sole purpose of you guys being able to share your work and connect with each other, because when you do something together, it is not as hard. And it's not as scary. And we make life so much harder than it needs to be anyway. I mean, let's make this hobby fun and exciting and make it as easy and joyful as possible. We don't need to make it harder on ourselves than it needs to be. So share your work. That's called Let's Make Art Watercolor. Ask to join it. It's a large group, but very supportive group. It's lovely. And if you need any of these supplies, you can find them at letsmakeart.com. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.